Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Open Sports Page. I'm Sid Rosenberg.
And I'm Amber Wilson.
Big show for you today, as always. We'll let you know, Amber, why Jose Canseco might need a new address to ship his steroids to, and how you can always have a little Sarah Palin with you at all times. But first, let's take a look at the front page. Amber?
Vince Young left Sunday's win over the Jags with an apparent leg injury, but now there's word that his mental health may be even worse. Cuckoo. Apparently, he disappeared briefly Monday night, and the Titans worried enough that they called the police to find their missing quarterback. Are you surprised this stuff is going on with this guy?
No, this is a guy that, talked about retiring a couple of years ago, has never seemed comfortable, Amber, making that leap from where he was a star at Texas to being a professional quarterback. And I think at one point during this story, they found a gun, not loaded, but they found a gun in his car. And
that
happens to everybody.
Well, I mean, it's true, though. A lot of people carry around guns in order to protect themselves, and it wasn't loaded. I don't know if that plays into this story here, but it does sound like to me that he is not handling the pressure cooker that is the NFL quite well. Perhaps it's a pretty far fall from glory. Yeah, from being his Texas days, from being the man to
maybe it's a Texas
an average
thing,
man.
Because a couple of years ago you had Ricky Williams,
the
running back for the Dolphins. He's a guy that also can't handle the public spotlight.
Maybe they're so babied at Texas that they're just not prepared for the real world.
I don't know. I could say this, though, but I don't want to get too crazy. But stories like this have a tendency of ending badly. And right now, I would hope that the Tennessee Titans and anybody close to Vince Young is more worried about Vince Young, the human being, than Vince Young, the quarterback. Because he's going to end ugly.
You know what? Some guys just don't like the game as much when it becomes a business. That changes everything. When things become a business, when it feels like work, going to your job every day, and it's not just playing a game anymore like it was your entire lifetime leading up to the NFL. Some guys, it's just not for them, and I hope that if he is having that issue, that he just gets the hell out, because there is other things that you can do.
By the way, he's not a very good quarterback anyway. I mean, I know 2 years ago.
I think he's extremely talented. I mean, he has potential, possibly.
I'm tired of hearing that. Michael Vick, extremely talented, and Vince Young, extremely talented. You're either a good quarterback or you're not. He showed some flashes a couple years ago as a rookie with a couple of dramatic fourth-quarter comebacks. But the last 2 years since he's been in this league, his numbers are not very good. He's not very accurate. His head's not in the game. I'm sick of hearing about physical attributes and great athletes. You're either a good quarterback or you're not. And Vince Young, up to this point, has not been a good quarterback.
Those type of quarterbacks just don't really seem to have any success in the NFL.
No, they don't. So that is the Vince Young story. Now, apparently, since he was wandering around, Amber, he obviously did not watch Monday Night Football, 2 games on last night. What do you think of the doubleheader on Monday nights, and what do you think of the 2 broadcasts?
Oh, I love a doubleheader on Monday nights because I love football. And if I lived out on the West Coast, I would have really loved this because they don't get to enjoy the Monday Night Football and all that surrounds it.
Good, screw the West Coast.
Like we do. So I thought it was nice. You had them stacked. You had, I actually fell asleep during the later game. I'm not going to lie. But,
so did I.
Right. So for us, it may be a little bit late. For the guys on the West Coast, probably perfect timing. We all watched the first game, of course, or I assume you did. I enjoyed it. How would you think about the guys in the booth?
I'm not big fans of the guys in the booth. Unfortunately, Mike, Ditka, Golick, and Greenberg were better than Tirico, Jaws, and Kornheiser, Corndog, and Cornhole there. And by the way, Mike, and Mike, that was just, once a year they do that. They throw them a bone on Monday nights because they do the radio show for ESPN during the mornings, and I know you're a fan of theirs, and I would say this. I know both those guys personally, and I like Mike Greenberg a lot. I think he's a good kid. Their best show is not nearly as good as my worst show. How about that? How about that, Mike and Mike in the morning?
Oh, my goodness.
My worst show is 10 times better than your best show on ESPN. But regardless of that, the Tirico, Jaws, and Kornheiser trio, they're awful. Where's Dandy Don? Dig Howard Cosell up.
Tirico's never had that much of a personality to me, even his radio show. He knows his stuff, though. And Kornheiser, a lot of people, they're complaining about him is that he doesn't really know his stuff. I don't know. I think he adds some color to the commentary. I know there's a lot of bloggers today just ripping the crap out of him for talking about nothing but Brett Favre last night.
Right.
When Aaron Rodgers was on the field. So I can see that, I guess. And Jaws, some people rip him. I think he knows his stuff. I think he's okay. I don't mind any of them. Like you said, I really am big fans of Mike and Mike. I listen to them absolutely every single morning.
Oh, that's great. Since I'm on, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Amber.
Oops. But I listen to you, too.
Of course you do, right.
I listen to them. I know I do. I watch them on ESPN, too.
I understand.
Before I get in my car and can listen to 790 in Miami.
I got you. The thing thing with those guys is Jaws is fine. He knows his stuff.
He does, of
the
course.
X's and O's, he's terrific.
Yeah.
Kornheiser, for me, is that same Dennis Miller, highbrow humor. I don't want that. The
Okay.
Monday Night Football guy is this. He's the guy at home wearing sweatpants that are 2 sizes too small with his old Emerson Boozer T-shirt on, drinking a beer, one hand on the remote, the other hand down his pants. He doesn't want highbrow humor.
Oh, good
he
God.
wants nasty
Please
stuff.
don't watch it with your hands down your pants. I think that Mike Golick was pretty good in that role as far as appealing to the average man, but also knowing his ex's nose, perhaps.
Another funny fat guy used to play football.
I don't know. Mike and Mike have the same agency as me, so I'm
Oh,
very
no wonder.
pro
Look
Mike
at
and
this.
Mike.
Oh, my God. Let's get to the next story.
Now that Tom Brady is out for the season, he'll certainly have more time at home and more time with girlfriend Gisele Bündchen.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that that's going to
over.
spell the end of their relationship? Maybe too much time at home, or do you think he's just going to get her knocked up? You know, he has a tendency to get his girlfriends knocked up.
Yeah, he does. He's pretty good at that. You know, look, I'm married for 17 years, and I'm happily married, and I love my wife. But I think my relationship is different. Most relationships, the more time you spend away from each other, the better off you are. Absolutely.
You sound like my last boyfriend.
Is that right? Yeah, you're a little bitter about this story now, aren't you? Of course.
I'm very bitter. Men always think that. Men, you know what? There's this old, I shouldn't say that.
No, you can say it.
There's this old saying, you know, show me a really hot girl and I'll show you a guy who's tired of, you know, getting with her.
No, that's true. I mean,
I'm PGing this down a little
No,
bit.
but it's
And
true.
you know what? It is the damn truth. And you see these women, like you wonder how like the Halle Berrys of the world get cheated on and stuff. And
Right.
it's always amazing because the guys always think, oh, well, if I had her,
Right.
I'd be complete. But men seem to,
Sure.
the grass is always greener for men.
The grass is always greener. You
Grass
know what's
is
funny?
always greener, damn it.
And 9 times out of 10, when they have these women, like you'll see, like the guy that's with Halle Berry or the guy that's with, Cindy Crawford, the woman that he's cheating with is like Roseanne Barr. It doesn't matter because there's something about her. Either she's dirtier or more promiscuous, or she does things
or
the
she's
other
just
girl.
not the woman that they live with.
Exactly.
She's not the woman they're tied
And
down
you're
to.
always going-
Because men always get sick of the woman that they have, right?
exactly
they always
right.
think there's
Right.
whatever.
Right, except in this
Ridiculous.
relationship, of course. You're
Men
gonna
are
be,
horrible.
I'm never going to want to get rid of you over here, I can guarantee you that. As for Brady's replacement, Amber, it's not going to be Chris Sims or Tim Rattay. The 2 former Bucks were supposed to work out for the club, but when they showed up, and Scott Zolak told me this today on my radio show, the former Patriot quarterback, Scott Pioli, the GM, said, we kind of changed the plans now. Go back in your car and go home.
How pissed would you be?
Well, that happened to me once on the Imus show. It was a horrible embarrassment. But look, Bill Belichick has made up his mind that Castle was there last year. He was there all preseason. He's a guy that knows the offense best. So that's going to be the guy that
there's
they
a few
go
other
with.
quarterbacks floating around out there.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing about Dante Culpepper.
Yeah?
He can't play anymore. I mean, it was obvious between Miami and Oakland the last 2 years. Dante Culpepper cannot play anymore. I mean, who
Yeah,
else?
I don't see how he would fit into the system very
No,
well either.
no. Castell's the guy.
At least Matt knows the system.
Right, exactly. I can't tell you if they're going back to the Super Bowl with Castle, but he seems to be the right guy. When
They're
Belichick
not.
wants something, really?
I don't think they are.
You're that
Going
sure?
back to the Super Bowl? No.
I don't know. The AFC's kind of wide open right now.
Yeah, but it's not that wide open.
Brett Favre and the Jets, Peyton Manning and the Colts,
Yeah.
Rivers and the Chargers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the guys that are normally at the top are a little bit down, but then you have teams like the Bills that we weren't talking about in the preseason that maybe look like they were underestimated. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have some, kind of shocker in the Super Bowl. A brand new team out of nowhere.
Well, the Giants were shocker last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a nice shocker, by the way. Let's do that again.
For you. All right, the New York Yankees have fallen to 4th place in the AL.
4th place! I'm sorry, I'm a
God.
Met fan. So
But I'm sure they got that by now. But Hank Steinbrenner said undoubtedly that Joe Girardi will be back next season. Is this really a vote of confidence, or is this like, telling people that he's on the hot seat to even mention that he's going to be back?
I never even knew this was a
right,
big
like
story.
when did anybody say that he wasn't going to be back?
Right.
And then all of a sudden now it's all over the place today that he's going to be back.
Girardi won the Manager of the Year here in South Florida, where we're taping today, Amber. For the Marlins,
right.
and got fired. I mean, not many guys win Manager of the Year and get fired the same year.
Yeah.
So he's already shown that when it comes to dealing with management, upper management, guys don't get along with Joe Girardi. It is obvious there's been a little point of contention throughout the year about Jabba Chamberlain, his role with the Yankees. So Yankee management has disagreed with some of Joe Girardi's philosophies, just like Marlin management did. So when you couple that with the fact that the Yankees will not go to the playoffs for the first time in 13 years, and the fact that Girardi doesn't get along with these people, it's not all that surprising.
Is it Girardi's fault, though, because of all the injuries, or is it Hank Steinbrenner's fault?
Let me say this. It's a great question. It's a great question.
Because, the Steinbrenners are never going to take the fall for this
No,
damn
of course
thing.
not. But Joe Torre had injuries. and Joe Torre had problems off the field.
Right.
And for everybody out there that says managing doesn't matter in baseball, and 99.99% I agree with that, is it just coincidence that all of a sudden now, Torre, 13 straight years to the playoffs, had injuries, had the A-Rod nonsense, had all of it.
Right.
Now he's gone, and the Yankees don't make the playoffs. Is that a coincidence?
No.
I think not.
I think not as well.
I'm with you. All right, time for a quick break here on the OSP, but when Amber and I get back, the Sarah Palin doll is out, and a possible change of address for Jose Canseco, too.
Here's a Ho Canseco.
Back page coming back.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.